So Dave Chappelle is going to be headlining the Netflix is a Joke Festival. So of course you've already got your people out there throwing their temper tantrums and spitting dummies out, including a bitch named Wil Wheaton. A D-list forgettable actor. He calls Dave Chappelle a bigot and a piece of shit. So it's just another one of these Hollywood types showcasing their meltdown just for all to see. But this was the post he put out. He says, absolutely disgusted. Every single comedian who is on this bill should withdraw unless and until this despicable bigot is uninvited. Any comedian who is a part of this should be ashamed of themselves. Netflix may not believe in holding this piece of shit to account, but you all have to live with yourselves and the choices you make to perform with him. And fuck everyone at Netflix who is a part of this. Trans rights are human rights, and words matter. Remember that old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Remember people used to say that? Well, not anymore. But then he comes with like some edit, 12 hours later, an important follow-up thought. It's very easy for me to sit in my chair and issue edicts about what other people should do. But of course he's going to do that anyway. That's presumptuous, and it overwhelms a larger point that I made in a comment here, which is also in its own post. I withdraw that outburst, and I regret saying it. I don't know if anyone cares. Yeah, we don't care. But I guess I do, and I want to own it. So this is when he gets to his long and boring story, which we'll try and keep in a nutshell. So he says, for anyone who genuinely doesn't understand why I feel as strongly as I do about people like Chappelle making... let's be honest, you only care to the point that it makes you look good to a minority of people. That's the only reason you feel strongly about it. Making transphobic comments that are passed off as jokes. That's because, they're jokes. That's why they're passed off as jokes. I want to share a story that I hope will help you understand and contextualize my reaction to his behavior. Oh, what, you mean a comedian making people laugh? A comedian being a comedian? Is that just weird to you? So this goes into like he was 16 and he played ice hockey and they always needed goalies, some shit. One night I played a couple of hours pickup with some great dudes. They were friendly, they were funny, they enjoyed the game. All that sort of stuff. After we were finished, we were all in the locker room. This kind of makes me think, did something happen to you in the locker room, Will? Where did they touch you? I'm starting to get the impression that something happened in the locker room. So he continues on, he says, before I tell you what happened next, I want to talk specifically about comedy and how much I loved it when I was growing up. I listened to records, watched comedy specials whenever I could. One of the definitive comedy specials for me and my friends was Eddie Murphy's Delirious from 1983. It had bits that kills me, the ice cream song, Aunt Bannet, all that sort of stuff. There is also extensive homophobic material. I think you mean jokes. Just jokes, mate. I wouldn't take them seriously. That is just fucking appalling and inexcusable. Long stretches of this comedy film are devoted to mocking gay people, using the slur that starts with F over and over. Young Will who watched this... I don't know why you're talking in the third person. Young Will who watched this with his suburban white upper... That brings me nothing. That gives me nothing and gives you nothing to your story. That's got nothing to do with anything. In his privileged bubble, thought it was the funniest, edgiest, dirtiest thing he'd ever heard. It killed him. And all of it was dehumanizing to gay people. Not really. It was just joking about gay people. They're called jokes. And nobody's exempt. Because that's essentially what's happening. It's basically, you've got people showing up with, like, notes from their doctor to like, so they don't have to do gym. That's essentially what's going on. So people are just trying to make these excuses so they're not included in who gets mocked, which is everybody. All of it was cruel. All of it was bigoted. How do you know that? Did you ask Eddie Murphy that? Did he tell you, yeah, it was bigoted, it's because I didn't like gay people? Did he tell you that? Probably not. So you can't really say that. All of it was, oh, wait for it, punching down. We're back to the punching down, punching up. All comedy is talking truth to power. So now comedy's, if it's funny, it's funny. That's what comedy is. This concept of punching down isn't a thing that exists. It's called making fun of everybody, no matter who they are, what their religion is, what their politics are, what their gender is, their race. None of it matters. Everybody gets their fair share of mockery. So there's no such thing as this punching down. But whenever you hear the like people like this talk about comedy, they think comedy is talking truth to power. It's like, no, it's not. I don't know who told you that. And I didn't know any better. I accepted the framing. I developed a view of gay men as predatory, and that's on you. That is on you. That's not on Eddie Murphy. That's not on anybody else. That's your fucking problem. Somehow, less than straight men, absolutely worthy of mockery and contempt. Always good for a joke, though. Let me put this in another way. A comedian who I thought was one of the funniest people on the planet totally normalised making a mockery of gay people. No, you make a mockery of everybody. And because I was a privileged white kid raised by privileged white parents, I don't know why you're continuing to tell me that you're white. I know you're white, Will. I've seen your picture. Stop telling me, because I don't give a shit. There was nobody around me to challenge that perception. For much of my teen years, I was embarrassingly homophobic, and it all started with that comedy special. Oh, you're shifting the blame. Is that what you're trying to do? Shift the blame onto Eddie Murphy? When you don't know what Eddie Murphy's position is, because it was a comedy show. He might have meant it. It might have just clearly been jokes. To most people, it would have been, yeah, he's just joking. But now Wil Wheaton's trying to say, no, it's comedy's fault. It's comedy's fault. Because I'm starting to get the impression that most of this story is going to be a fabrication. He's going to bring it home to comedy kills, like that whole like made up narrative that nobody's provided any evidence on whatsoever. But we're back to the locker room, and he goes through, I'm talking to these guys, that they're having fun in the locker room. I don't know if one of them touched him, I don't know. And then, without even realising what I was doing, the awful word came out of my mouth, blah, blah, blah. You can see the word there. The room fell silent, and apparently, this entire team was gay. I don't really know if that's true. It doesn't seem likely that everybody on one team was like, they were all gay. But yeah, he just goes on and on about this. So this ends in a whole thing. That happened over 30 years ago, and I think about it all the time. I'm mortified, embarrassed, and so regretful that I said such hurtful things. I said it out of ignorance, but I still said it. And I said it because I believed these men who were so cool and kind, and just like all the other men I played with, I was the fucking whatever, was somehow less than. Again, that's on you. That's your fault. It's not Eddie Murphy's fault. Because that had been normalised for me by culture and comedy. A huge part of that normalisation was through entertainment that dehumanised gay. I was joking about gay men, dehumanising them. In the service of, their jokes. And so someone who thought jokes were great, I accepted it. I mean, you were 16. How did you not understand what comedy was? How did you jump to, well, Eddie Murphy made fun of these people, so they must be wrong-uns. I accepted it. I mean, nobody was making fun of me that way, and I was the main character. Yeah, people were making fun of you. There's this perception that, like, white people don't get made fun of. It's like, well, Richard Pryor did it. Eddie Murphy did it. Dave Chappelle's done it. I doubt very much that any of those men would be reading this today, but if so, I'm so sorry. I deeply, profoundly, totally regret this. I've spent my entire life since this happening making amends and doing my best to be the strongest ally I can be. I want to do everything I can to prevent another kid, a made-up kid, by the way, I might add, another kid from believing that same bigotry I believed, because I was ignorant and privileged. No, it was because you were fucking stupid. It was because you were an idiot. That's why. But finally we get to Dave Chappelle. So he says, so this stuff that Chappelle did, that all these cis-het white men are so keen to defend. They're not all white. They're not all white. They're not all men. They're not all fucking. I'm not using your shit word, all right, cis. No, I'm just a man. That's it. Cis-het. So again, he's just trying to make out that everybody that's defending Chappelle is a straight white male. That's what he's trying to say, which isn't the case, because I've seen all different people defend Dave Chappelle. I believe them when they say that it's not a big deal, because it's not a big deal to cis-het white dudes. Shut up with that shit. But for a transgender person, those jokes normalise hateful, ignorant, bigoted behaviour towards them. No, they don't. No, it doesn't. Maybe if you're a bit dumb, yeah, maybe. But people don't go to a comedy show and then all of a sudden, right, we hate gay people. I don't know where they're getting that from. Those jokes contribute to a world where transgender people are constantly under threat of violence. So, fucking hell. Because transgender people have been safely, acceptably dehumanized. And no, they haven't. And it's all okay because they were dehumanized by a black man. And the disingenuous argument that it's actually racist to hold Chappelle accountable for this. I'm surprised you don't believe that, actually, Will. Because you've bought into all the other shit. But he continues on and he says, I love dark humour. He probably doesn't. I love smart, clever jokes that make us think, that challenge authority, that make powerful people uncomfortable. Well, no, it's not. Comedy can be, as long as it makes you laugh, that's comedy. I don't need a lecture from some dude in a wraparound sunglasses and a get-a-done tank top and about how, you clearly don't understand comedy if you think it's about challenging authority. And I need to stick to acting. You need to stick to something. I don't need a First Amendment lecture from someone who doesn't understand the concept of consequences. We're back to consequence culture. And my question is always, what consequence? Because the only consequence I can see is, as an individual, you decide whether you want to buy a ticket to Dave Chappelle or go and watch Dave Chappelle. That's the only consequence. Other than that, what is it, a threat? Is that what, are you threatening a black man, you bigot? Because that's the only other thing it can be, is a threat. Rather than just, no, you make your own decision if you want to give Dave Chappelle money. That's it. But you can't come in here and say, no, he's got to be cancelled. He's got to be, even though the majority of people don't want him gone. Literally every defence of Chappelle's jokes centres white cis-het men and our experience at these. No, that's not true. He made a joke about white people in the comedy special. Literally every queer person I know, and I know a lot. Look at me. I'm little Wil Wheaton and I know a lot of gay people. Can you come off any more virtuous? Is hurt by Chappelle's actions, when literally every queer person I know says, this is hurtful to me. Is it? All right. What happens next? What happens next? Nothing. I'm pretty sure you get over it, don't you? Or you just go, oh, well, maybe I won't tune in to Chappelle next time because he hurt my feeties. I'm going to listen to them and support them and not tell them why they are wrong. If I don't care who you are, if you say something that I think you're talking shit, I'm going to just say it. I don't give a shit if you're gay. I don't care if you're trans. I don't care what you are. There's no such thing, oh, you can't tell them they're wrong. I can, quite easily. As so many cis-het white men know. If you're inclined to disregard queer voices, especially as they relate to this specific topic, I encourage you to reflect on your choices and think about who you listen to and why. Too many of my fellows, again, he's trying to involve all of us with him. We're not associated with a dumbass. But he said cis-het white men for the 70th time, and it's starting to piss me off a bit. Are reducing this to some abstract intellectual exercise, which once again centres our experience. No, we've already said that's bullshit. At the expense of people who are genuinely threatened by the normalisation of their less than, or outsider status. Who said that? 30 years ago, I centred myself and was appallingly hurtful as a result, which is that's your problem. Nobody else. Don't put this on anybody else. I was 16 and didn't know any better because I'm Wil Wheaton and I'm thick as shit. I still regret it. Frankly, a whole lot of you, who I've already blocked because you had different opinions to me, should feel the same shame about what you said today that I feel for something I did 3 decades ago when I was 16 and didn't know any better. You keep saying that, but you don't, and that is why people like me need to keep using our voices to speak up and speak out. Where's this big platform that Wil Wheaton has? He's pretty much a nobody at this point. But yeah, it's just absolute bollocks. This is just NPC drivel again. It's like it's got every talking point that we keep hearing all these people say. But they'll just keep running with these absolute just NPC arguments. That's why I think this entire story you just gave is an absolute fabrication. Because you see how it helps his point by making out that, well, he watched comedy and then all of a sudden he didn't like gay people. Well, that ain't what happens with normal people, so that's just on you. You obviously weren't very bright, which, through what we've read, that shows. So you just thought, oh, Eddie Murphy's making fun of gay people. That means we as a society don't like gay people. It's like, no. You're just a fucking idiot if that's the jump you go to. But that's all I got to say on that anyway, so if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.